Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dreamweavers podcast. Oh my gosh, today we have the incredible Diane and Gary with us today.
Yay!
Hello, and thank you so
Hi,
much for
everyone.
being here.
Thank
Oh man,
you.
we appreciate. So, I did not know, guys, that you had moved to Mexico. So I am super stoked to hear about that. And I want to hear exactly what we were talking about in the pre-chat a little bit, that this has been so integrative for you. So where were you before this, and how did you get to where you were before Mexico? Start us off from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we're from Glasgow in Scotland and lived there our whole lives basically. And we're a divine union couple, so we're twin flames or a divine partnership, and part of like our awakening journey has been coming back into union and reconnecting again in the physical realm. So that
How did you
happened. Yeah.
How did you determine that you guys were a divine union?
So I was actually given that information before we met. I'd received the download that I was a counterpart, that I had a genetic counterpart, and that I was going to connect with them in the future. So I had already been aware of that, but I feel for me, you just know, it's the kind of connection that's undeniable when you meet. It's like meeting yourself,
No.
and masculine form, I suppose, for me. But it's like meeting yourself, and when you actually come into union as a divine union couple, it just explains your whole life, your whole reality, the longing that you've had, the knowing that you've had that somebody's out there.
Mm,
So it's very much a deep knowing, but also I received the download before we even came into union about that as well.
And we had very similar paths of journeys in life up until we met as well, but in different ways. We went round in different ways, but we had something similar. And once we met and we spoke about things, Diane was picking up on stuff of mine, and I was picking up on stuff of Diane's, like ailments and stuff, and health things that she had been going on. I had been experiencing the same things through the same time, but when we came together and we connected and we got downloads, and it was telling us all about this is all was all meant. You were to feel each other, you were helping each other as you were going the whole way. So when Diane was having health problems, I was assisting her in healing in a multidimensional level, and just it was just for me. I just knew right straight away that this was the one. The one. I used to always write things on my Facebook stories and poems and stuff about how there was somebody for everybody out there, and you would meet them eventually again, and we just knew right straight away, and we knew straight away we were going to get married as well, like within a month. We just knew, and I've never been married, been in relationships my whole life, and never been married, never thought about marriage. But when I met Diane, it was like we just knew that the bond was so thick, it was so connected between us. We just knew
How did you meet?
it.
Uh,
I
um,
mean, if you want to answer.
No, we'd actually met as teenagers, so we used to go to the same nightclub in Glasgow in the 90s. We were ravers, so we used to like to rave music. And we used to go to this nightclub in Glasgow, but I'm a few years younger than Gary, so I was a bit younger. I was probably only like 15, 16 at the very most, and Gary was like 18,
18.
maybe 19. And so I was aware of him from going to this nightclub. I kind of remembered who he was, and we travelled in the same circles. Like I had a boyfriend at the time who Gary knew, who lived round the corner from him, stuff like that. So I was in his area where he lived every weekend for like a good few years in my teenage years. And So I had that awareness of who he was, but we now know now that that was our initial activation. That was us coming into connection in the physical realm. There was an activation and then we separated for over 30 years. And we met again through Facebook. Gary came up as a friend in common with somebody that also went to this nightclub. And I just instinctively knew to add him. So I was like, I'm going to add him. And I added him. And I remember thinking like he's a really good guy, but I didn't really know him that well, but I just knew he's a really good guy. So I added you, didn't I? And then that was 2012 and we didn't really speak. There was the occasional comment here and there. And it wasn't until 2020, Gary will tell you a bit more, but he'd been sharing a lot of stuff on Facebook about his struggles and what he was going through at that time. And that made me reach out to him to see if I could offer him any guidance, basically. So
at that time, I was for a good few years, I was struggling with emotional health and mental health and physical health stuff. And my life was up and down, but there was a lot going on, especially emotionally and physically and the mental as well. But I used to post all about what I was going through, like stories, just posting about how I was feeling and the things that I was going through and how was it connected to all these different things. And Diane, people would comment on it and it would help a lot of people as well, because not a lot of people were as raw as that, with their emotions and with their mental health and stuff. And I was really, really raw. I would basically be saying it as it was happening and what it was like at the time and what I was going through. It wasn't like a sorrow thing. It was just basically me posting to try and assist other people, even because other people would get through the same stuff. And then I ended up physically unwell, and I didn't realise at the time. People used to say to me I was an empath, and I didn't know what an empath was. I just thought an empath was somebody that was a good person. I didn't know it was an energy thing. There was a lot of energy. You can pick up people's energy and it can drain you. And then when I started putting the things together, it was like certain people would come into my life and I would end up drained. I would end up physically unwell, mentally unwell, and then they would go away and I would be still like that. And then I started to put pieces together and I would be like, okay, this is a recurring theme here. And I ended up in hospital through actually helping somebody else again. And that's when the penny dropped. And I posted about it on Facebook saying I'll never help anybody again, because every time I help somebody, I feel as if I'm a vessel for their stuff. And then they go away and I'm destroyed and they're okay, but they're still the same. They just move on to somebody else. And Diane seen the post and said, I'm going to send you a book. And bear in mind, we didn't really speak anything up to this point. And she said, send me, what's your address? And I usually I wouldn't give my address to anybody. And I just automatically sent my address. And she sent me a book called The Awakened Empath. And then when I read it, that was my awakening. That was what woke me up. That was like, boom. And I just totally came online. Everything just came from there. It just explained my life, explained everything in detail about what I was going through, and that was my initial awakening.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so you guys were, I mean, the destiny is clear. If you can use the word destiny, it's like you knew where you were going on a soul level and you got there. I always find it interesting how you hear stories of people who, are meant to be or who didn't connect right away, and how often we pull those people, like the people that we're supposed to be with are actually in some of our original circles, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like that distance and then kind of coming right back around. And like I think Diane, I don't remember the exact word you used, but you said that was when your connection started, or when you I'm
When we
sorry.
have initial activation, when we met
Yes.
with teenagers, yeah. So usually divine counterparts will have an initial activation that will activate the remembrance, and then they will separate to do their own soul's work or their own soul's evolution or whatever it is they're here to clear or master in this lifetime before they're ready to come back into physical union. So that was for us, that was an activation that we had when we met when we were younger, and then we went into separation because obviously we wouldn't have known who we were, who each other was, if we hadn't had that initial activation. And then for me, with Gary sharing so much about his mental health and things like that, and his suffering and how he was being drained by people. For me, that I had lost my brother to suicide. Like a few years prior to that, and he was a very, very sensitive individual as well. He was an indigo, and for me, I feel like Gary's sharing was triggering a lot of fear in me around possibly losing my counterpart. Now on reflection, obviously, at the time I didn't know this, I was just acting on intuitive kind of knowing, but I feel it was triggering remembrance of him being my counterpart and that he was struggling and that he needed assistance, and having lost my brother in the same way. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen to Gary, and that was what made me reach out and offer support. But even then, we didn't meet for 10 months after that. We spoke on Messenger, and just on Messenger, like we never phoned each other. There was no FaceTime. There was nothing like that. It was just Messenger messages back and forth, wasn't it, for 10 whole months.
I didn't even know what Diane looked like. I hadn't even on her Facebook or anything. She was just like, when I had my initial awakening with that after reading the book and stuff, it was obviously the activation from Diane. The book was me activating through that. I was just like, it was just a woman. I was telling friends, like, I've got this woman who's helping me with meditations and stuff, and helped me, and everything was starting to come online very fast for me. So I was just like, Diane was just this woman that I was speaking to who was helping me to do meditations and stuff, and like kind of steering me onto my journey. And like people used to say, who is she? And I'm like, I don't know. So it was just basically like that for 10 months. It wasn't anything. Nothing at all, innit?
No, it was friendship, and it was obviously us activating each other just through our messages and what we were sharing, and supporting each other through like COVID and things like that, because it was all through COVID, it was all through like lockdowns and things like that. So it was like two like-minded souls that were obviously awake and realising like we're on a different path from quite a lot of other people and things as well. So that went on for 10 months, and then I actually had a dream that we were intimate. That was what happened, and it was very, very real. And the next day when I tuned into my higher self, I was like, what's going on here? I got the guidance that there was more to the relationship than just a platonic relationship, and that we had a lot deeper connection, I suppose, than what I'd initially thought, that like me just reaching out to give guidance, because I definitely kept him at arm's length as well. It wasn't like I wasn't looking to jump into a relationship. I was still in a in a relationship. I'd been in a relationship for 16 years, but we had separated, but we were still in the same house. And I wasn't ready to go into another relationship, especially with somebody that was having problems. Had enough of that in my life. So those 10 months were me like seeing if Gary was going to do the work, I suppose, to get to a level that he needed to be at for us to come into union, to see if he was ready, I suppose, wasn't it?
Right.
But I told him about this dream afterwards. I told him about the dream, and then that was when things just switched. We both had a Kundalini awakening just from me sharing that information, and then it just became a very intense sexual connection at that time, like where we were, waking up at the same time in the middle of the night, and we were already on the phone to message each other. Like he was there when I was going to message him, that kind of thing. And we had a full month of like just kind of telling each other we loved each other and things like that. And, like the sexual connection was getting stronger. And then, we had to meet in the physical. It was just like, we can't wait any longer. So we met in June 2021. We met, and then within 4 weeks we we knew we were getting married. We got married in October 2022 on a beach in the Scottish Highlands. Yeah, and we've been on this mad journey ever since.
Oh my gosh, what a testament. You know, what a testament to how the divine or the great unknown or however people phrase it, how it really works. You know, people would say God works in mysterious ways. I would say the universe works in mysterious ways. But the way that you guys were coming together, like specifically to come to finally like be a couple, right? Or to be one, or you know, however you want to describe it. It's just it's a beautiful story, and it really illustrates how important it is for people to know who they are before. It's like it seems like you both had to do the work to get to where the place you were ready to
Yeah.
actually be together. And the fact that you were doing the work together to get ready for each other, right? That's
When we
amazing.
look back on the journey, you know, right from being a teenager, I would say, like the activation came in and then we were on mission because like we both had to deal with a lot of trauma in our lives and a lot of like I had many, many years of addiction as well. I was clearing out addictive programming in my ancestral line and you know, there was sexual distortion, there was all sorts of different things that we had to traverse through individually, wasn't there? Gary had to deal with a lot of grief and bereavement and
relationship breakdowns and stuff. Family stuff.
But looking back, we know that what we were doing was we were actually healing those templates within ourselves, within the lineage, within our ancestral lines, to actually be in a place where we were ready to come back into union. Because it's not our first rodeo. We've done this many times, like, and this time we've mastered it. There's been many lifetimes that we haven't mastered it. And we've had to heal all of that as well since we came into union as well. So it's a very complex dynamic that we're very passionate about, but I do feel it's been hijacked by the new age and turned into this twin flame toxic relationship dynamic when really that's not what it is. It's a very sacred partnership of two ancient souls who are very advanced and they've went through many, many lifetimes of karma and initiation and embodiment to be able to hold this frequency and to step into this mission.
You know, I was just going to ask that about you hear so many people say that like your twin soul is only there to teach you a lesson and it can be really hard and then they disappear. And I've always thought, then what's the point? Because a lot of other souls can teach you lessons, you know. So it's good to hear that it doesn't have to be a contrary relationship. It's obviously one of such
Never had that experience.
No, we've been totally different from that.
We've worked with clients that have came to us and they're in that kind of toxic, you know, twin flame loop. They're obsessed about their
The runner
counterpart.
chaser stuff and stuff.
We've never had that experience. From the minute we met, we knew that, you know, this was like a relationship like nothing else, and it was like a homecoming effectively. And I think the biggest clue is you step into a life of service. When you're a true counterpart and you're here for a divine mission, you know, we stepped into a life of service within weeks of knowing each other, and that's the biggest key. You know, you're going to have a divine mission together. You're going to have a purpose together. You're going to want to be embodiments of God, Goddess in human form, and you're here to make an impact. It's not about, you know, a relationship or romance. It's really not. It's not that at all. It really isn't. And I think that's what people think. It's like it's just the love of your life. It's not. It's like it's an ancient soul who's here on a really challenging soul mission that's chose to experience it as two separate counterparts in feminine and masculine embodiment. And it's all about coming back into that union and embodying that divine union frequency so that that pathway can open up on earth and can open up for others as well. So it's very, very challenging, but it's beautiful, and it's I think the true divine counterpart kind of story has been hijacked by the new age to trivialise it and to make people who are in karmic relationships think that they're in a twin flame dynamic. things like that. But the true divine counterpart journey is very different to what I hear around.
Yours has definitely been different.
Yeah.
And like when Diane sent me that book and I read it, and then everything that came after that, I was just switched on mission.
Mm.
I was just like right on mission, and everything started to fall into place. I started to get physically better. I started to do a lot of research and on the physical side and the mental side. I've not experienced anything like I experienced before I had before Diane sent me that book and I had that awakening. I used to experience, I was really seriously unwell, I had sepsis, I had loads of stuff going on in my gut, you name it. I was basically, I would have been dead if we had never came back into union. I would definitely have been dead physically or mentally, would have took me because there's a lot of demons in my life and a lot of demons in my house and stuff, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And since that book and that initial trigger with Diane, the initial activation was, my life has totally just been on mission, and it's just been like the most amazing time since. Like I've not had any mental health issues, any emotional health, physical health, nothing. Everything has just been, and I've just followed the guidance the whole way, like through the two of us. It's always just been about the two of us and where we're going in this journey. And a lot of people I see like the twin flame dynamics, it's not like that. They've got runners, chasers, they've got all of this, they've got a lot of stuff coming on. And at the start, we did have a kind of, because we were mirroring each other, we were mirrors. So we were basically calling each other out on certain things. And we were kind of getting triggered at the start, but it's like that's the way it has to be. But we knew that we were on mission. That's the whole thing. We just knew from the start.
Yeah, it's definitely a soul mission. It's not well, it is a romantic relationship, but I would say our life is about mission more than it is about our marriage, more than it is about our relationships, about mission.
Wow. Wow. Well, I can see how, like, it's not all about the marriage, but I can see how that could play in because that is a symbolic uniting. You know, they say where two shall be as one, or whatever
Mhm.
the lines are and all that. And so maybe on a human level, there has to be some kind of a formal melding to bring that, just to make you more aware. I mean, like, not everybody is as aware as you are, right? So to help people realize, okay, now we're one, and that can help us navigate the whole twin flame thing. But it's not necessarily about the fact that we're married, like you said. It's about the fact that what we're doing and where we are
The
and what
mission.
our purpose and our mission really is.
Hmm. So
Wow.
speaking of, what is your mission now?
So like I said,
Well, let's go back real quick because
yeah, we've still
we
not got to
digressed a little bit. Yeah. So after you got
I don't.
married and you had that whole awakening, well, you had the awakening and then you guys got married. You're still living in Glasgow. And so what was your mission then? And what were you guys working towards at that time?
So at that time, I think our mission was very much about our own multidimensional embodiment and our galactic embodiment, galactic remembrance, and our past lives, all of that. So we were really working with people to assist them to activate their gifts, their abilities, their remembrance of where they come from, our galactic remembrance, and doing that kind of work, we were also doing that within ourselves, which was enabling us to embody, all these different aspects of our higher self, if you like, or our higher soul. And to integrate all, the different galactic aspects and past lives and things like that. So we went through a few years where we were doing a lot of work that was healing. We were doing healing. We do womb healing. That's a big part of our calling. And we did quite a few womb healings in Scotland and courses where we were really helping people to, activate their light language, teach them how to use light language, activating their spiritual gifts and abilities, help them read the Akashic records, all of these types of things. So that's what we were doing in Scotland, wasn't it? And up until probably we came to Mexico, we were still doing quite a bit of that work, and then it just started to feel a bit out of alignment as we evolved as souls and as we came into deeper union together. So at the start of this year, we set our intention to actually work in our own union and our relationship as a couple, because we'd just been
Working.
in mission basically, and had all these contracts to work with certain souls and activate certain souls, and we got to a point where we're like, right, okay, let's work on us, let's work in our union and purifying our union template. And this is very important, because when you are a counterpart, you're highly targeted, you're highly attacked, but also we all have distortion within our field. Every single one of us has distortion within our field. We have, implants, devices, we have reversals, we have all of these things that have to be cleared or released, that you do through your own embodiment journey. And we had got to a place where we had done so much work, I feel, on our individually and together, that we were ready to embody a higher frequency of divine union. And that's what we really set our intention to do this year. So this year we've been doing a lot of work on our own divine union. We've went through this year probably the deepest releases of distorted dark consciousness that we've ever experienced, individually, like levels that I've never experienced in like 7 years. I've been on this journey. I awakened in 2018 before I met Gary. So the extent of the distortion that we've been able to clear and release is really like unbelievable compared to what we were doing before when we were in Scotland. And I feel like that's how our work has evolved and grown as well. Our offerings, what we do now, because we're holding a purer template. We're holding a clearer, purer, more high vibrational template where we're embodying more of that divine union frequency, so we can actually impact on a different level now.
Wow.
So what shifted for you guys? Like, can you name the catalyst, or, kind of
Coming to
identify what
Mexico,
shifted?
yeah, coming to Mexico was
Coming
a
to
huge catalyst, wasn't it?
It's just a totally different way of life. So as it's less restrictive, it's a lot easier paced, and we didn't have any other distractions like we had in Scotland. You've got family and you've got all of these things, you've got pets, you've got everything else. So basically it's just me and Diane here. And we've just been growing.
And a cat.
And the cat, we've got a cat now.
Everyone needs a cat.
A
Yeah.
Every
big
cat.
cat that came to us within a few days.
Black cat.
Aw.
So we've not really had many distractions apart from a possum that I found,
Yeah.
and I helped it heal, and just other things like that.
Aw.
Aw.
So it was, but we've just been basically working on ourselves, and a lot of the stuff that I've been coming up for me has been coming out. It's the physical traumas, like the emotions stuck to the physical traumas. So a lot of that's been coming up for release with me, because I went through so much physical and so much emotional pain and trauma leading up to my awakening, and then I went on mission, and it wasn't like I was actually working on these, but when coming here, I've been able to work on them, be able to bring it up and bring up the past lives or whatever else that's been connected to it as well, and the traumas from this as well. And it's actually been a magical time this last 9 months or 10 months.
Yes, we've been here
10 months we've been
10
here in
months,
Mexico, and it's a massive like growth and expansion for both of us, both individually and together.
So why did you guys choose Mexico, or did Mexico choose you? And where in Mexico are you?
Well, Mexico chose us, to be honest,
Okay.
and
I
it was
understand.
through my physical. Before I met Diane, during the lockdown and stuff, and I had sepsis, and I was basically like, I nearly died a couple of times, and just my health was really, really bad. So during the lockdown, I was just trying to find ways of trying to heal myself. And a guy came up, Dr. Detox, Dr. Daryl, and he was just talking about all this stuff the medical stuff. Like, I'd been going to the hospital and getting tests and all that for years. and they were like, "There's nothing wrong," but I was really seriously damaged inside. I was toxic inside, and he was telling you ways to actually clear this with nutraceuticals and just how you eat and how you drink, these kind of things, changing your lifestyle. And I started following him, and everything he was saying was just ringing bells, and I just knew. And then I started getting nutraceuticals from him, and they worked. They started to work, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was actually feeling better. Everything was working. And then I seen he was doing a course in Mexico. And when I met Diane, I went, I'm going to go and do his course as soon as the lockdown's over, kind of thing. And then it came up, and I just knew I was just guided the whole way to come here to do that course. And then both of us came and done the course. And there's a whole life coach course and a Wolf non-surgical course, which is a body work technique, and it breaks up scar tissue and crystallization and calcification in the body. And it was just a transformation of time, like with that, the physical, and then I had my awakening, like right after it, right? And it was just, everything was just coming together. And once the lockdown was over, we done the course, and then we just knew, like, we're going to come back here.
Yeah, I think we knew.
We knew right away.
We took everything we learned back to Scotland, and we started implementing it into our own lives, but also trying to implement it in Scotland, which wasn't easy because
People weren't ready.
There's free healthcare in the UK, so a lot of people don't want to invest money into their health and things like that, and a lot of people are heavily programmed, and they've got poor diets and things. So a lot of the stuff that it was difficult to try and implement it in Scotland. Maybe not as it'd have been easier if you were in the US or something like that, but it was quite difficult. And then we just knew, didn't we? We just knew. I was like, I just got a feeling that we're going to go back to Mexico. And for me, that course was probably one of the most powerful experiences of my life, because I didn't watch the doc of Detox. I didn't watch anything before I came. I didn't really know what I was coming to. It was Gary that was into him. I was just coming thinking, I've never been to Mexico. That'll be good. And
I hear you.
Well,
Hey,
and
it's
to
a
support
trip.
your husband, yeah,
Yeah.
of
I brought my
course.
son as well. He was 14 at the time, and we came for a month, didn't we? And we went into the course, and I was thinking, I think I had quite a big ego at the time, to be perfectly honest, and I thought I was healed. And I walked in there and I thought, this is going to be a piece of cake. And being in that circle, and just I was just faced with all of these beliefs and programs that I actually had about myself, that I had running, that were just triggered by being in that room, by being in that group. And then you've got Dr. Wolf. I don't know if you're aware of him. He's an amazing man, but he's like very highly intuitive. He's very able to tune into you and see where your weak spots are or whatever, and reflect it right back to you. So I was faced with this like really powerful masculine mirror, and that was reflecting things back to me that, to be honest, most of it I didn't even know I had, like belief systems, programs, insecurities, hang-ups, all of these kind of things. And I was so triggered on that course, wasn't I? I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. And I was really triggered, and yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But when I came back to Scotland, I actually realised, oh my God, like everything was true. It was me. It wasn't everybody else. It was me. And it was a beautiful gift. I realised then what a beautiful gift I'd actually had at receiving that kind of reflection from Dr. Wolf. And yeah, it transformed my life, that course. It really, really did, and enabled me to step into a much higher version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And what course was this again?
So it's a whole life
course.
Whole life course.
Yeah, whole life coach.
Dr. Daryl Wolf.
Doc of Detox.
The Doc of Detox. He's very, very outspoken. Yeah. And that's what I loved about him. He just cuts to the core and tells you, he breaks everything down so easily, how everything comes from the gut and stuff, and how it's the gut's the main. And for me, that's where all my problems were lying at the time. It was the gut. And then when I started clearing out the gut, everything was starting to just come online. And then had the awakening and stuff as well. And it was just, so it was all about clearing out the gut. And just everything he was saying just during the pandemic and stuff as well. And I was just, everything was resonating. He's really, really direct with his stuff, but he's a beautiful man. He's a blessing to humanity in my eyes, because I wouldn't be here if I had never came across him. I wouldn't be in Mexico if I hadn't came across him either. So I would possibly dead. I would most definitely be dead if he hadn't popped up, and
Wow.
because I was going down the medical route and I was just getting nowhere. They were just giving me tablets and pills and stuff, and I was just deteriorating. I was just My
Mm-hmm.
whole body was just deteriorating. And then when he came up, it was like, wow, what a blessing. So that's how I know that this mission, I've been guided the whole way. Everything I went through in the past was I had to go through that, the initiation of all the mental health, the emotional health, everything, because that was the coaching. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was basically lighting the fire again and the awakening as well. It's just the sparks coming for that and the two of them coming together. So I'd basically done all the coaching like hands-on myself, and then came into union with Diane and just realised that there was somebody there that actually made me feel safe for one of the first times in my life as well. So that was a beautiful experience.
That is beautiful.
Wow. Life-changing for sure.
And I
Like,
think just when you asked about what was the catalyst as well for the deeper union, one of the biggest catalysts for me was stepping into divine feminine leadership as well. So this year I've stepped into solar feminine leadership, which is all about reclamation of the Sophianic template and the solar feminine template that's been distorted. And stepping into that, I created a course. It's called the Royal Houses of Sophia, the Sophia frequency. That was a big initiation for me, to embody a higher level of solar feminine frequency myself. So I created that course and put the course out. I'm doing it, this is my second time doing it now. That was a big catalyst for a change in my frequency as well, because I had always, all of our work we've done together since we came into union, we both had a reluctance to work separately. But sometimes that can be through trauma bonds as well, through past lifetimes, and it can also be through rituals that you've maybe taken part in different timelines as well, that you don't want to separate. There's a binding there. So we had to work through that to enable us to step into individual, like feminine leadership and masculine leadership as well. But that stepping into like solar feminine leadership and putting a container out there was a big catalyst for me for a release of much darker consciousness as
mhm.
well. So it's not for the faint-hearted, I wouldn't say.
No, it sounds very intense.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think it's important, like what you said about just releasing the dark or the darker energies or just all that negativity stuff that just gets thrown at us and then has been somewhat reinforced by the New Age. Not that I'm slamming the New Age movement, but kind of when it started, there was just so much going on, and people were, and you'd hear good things and bad things and this and that, and to have it have evolved to this point where you're able to put together what the important parts are and definitely start clearing out the stuff that maybe was necessary to get us where we are, but is not
exactly.
necessary
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I do,
Yeah.
but that all serves a purpose, and it's part of your own initiation
Hmm.
experience. I feel like actually experiencing that darker consciousness and the release of that, because it makes you a more embodied leader, where you can actually lead people through that process and guide them through that as well, which I think is something you do need to have experienced to actually have the understanding of, the depths that you can actually go to when you descend to reclaim your
That,
true spiritual body parts and aspects of yourself that are trapped in lower realms of experience. And that's really been a big thing for us this year. I think it's been a big thing for a lot of people, but yeah, we've definitely retrieved a lot of aspects that we've not reached before.
Well, it's like a shamanistic soul retrieval.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you're really finding those parts of you that have gotten scattered or stuck and bring them back to create the whole. I just think your journey has just been amazing. Um, I'm like, what a journey you guys have been on. And now that you're here now, I'm realizing we never actually said the name of your
Oh,
so do I have it right when I say Indigo Blue Star, right? And is that
And
the best
Indigo Blue
way
Star.
to find you?
yeah,
yeah,
so our joint kind of heart and soul led business is Indigo Blue Star. So that's where all of our offerings are created through. Did it's there? Indigo Blue.
Yes, there we go. There we go. Yeah,
Creating
if you
heaven
just
on
go
earth.
bloop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank
then we
you.
offer individual offerings as well as like solar feminine, solar masculine as well. So we do mentorship and things as well. So
So if somebody is, say, walking the earth, wondering if they're ever going to meet their soulmate or feeling that they never are going to meet their soulmate, you know, that kind of, or I mean, or even not even just their soulmate, that's just, that was the wrong word, like their flame or their match,
Well, their
right?
person, their
Their
yeah.
one.
person, their energy.
Yeah.
Do you offer things to help the person clear out those things that are actually keeping them from getting into that
Unbeknownst,
space?
blocking. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We offer Divine Union Mastery sessions and Divine Partnership sessions, and we're in the process of creating a course as well that we're going to be offering as well around Divine Union because we've learned so much about divine union and you know what the blocks actually are that prevent you coming into union and the amount of interference. That's one of the most important things, the amount of distortion that's out there around this union and keeping the counterparts separated. So we do divine union mastery sessions and divine partnership sessions where that's exactly what we'd be focusing on, you know, what reversals you've got in your field. It's all about bringing your masculine and feminine energy into union with your higher self. You have to be in divine union yourself to be ready for a divine union with another, and that's the main key. And there's so much out there to keep, you know, separation of the masculine, the feminine, to keep us, you know, hating each other and, you know, patriarchy. There's so many different things out there that are actually designed to keep the counterparts separate, and that's really what we would assist people with. Through those types of sessions, wouldn't we? And also make sure that people are focusing on their own divine union, because we have worked with people and they can get a bit obsessed with union, twin flame union,
Mhm.
and that can be a distortion in itself. That you
distraction.
and a distraction if you're getting obsessed
Yeah.
with union, and it can be a lot to do with the feminine energy rising, and the feminine is really craving the union, but the masculine's not ready yet. So what that will do is create an imbalance where the masculine will pull back even further and the feminine is chasing the union, and that's not the right energy for divine union either. So yeah, that's the session that we would do that kind of work in, and we're creating a Divine Union Mastery kind of coaching package right now as well, and Divine Partnership package, and it's really what we want to be stepping into going forward.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm curious, does everybody have the perfect match for a divine union like in the lifetimes that everyone is living right now, say, this time walking the earth? Is it possible that you don't have that person for that union? Does that, or does everybody, like, I mean, if we're talking twin souls, it's the same, it's basically two halves of the same whole. But
Yeah,
is there ever a time when they're not incarnated together or they're not in a place where they can meet? You know,
yeah.
like,
So personally, myself, I believe that you can be incarnated without your counterpart, because you've got to experience certain things in that incarnation that you know you need to master. Um, For me, I feel like the true counterparts are very advanced souls, and I don't feel that all souls are the same age. Does
hmm
that make sense? So, like the divine union counterparts are very advanced souls that have, as like I said, they've gone through 12 sacraments, 12 wheels of karma. So they've went through the cycle of incarnation and mastered certain lessons and went through certain initiations and embodiments to come into divine union and step into mission. But that doesn't mean that, someone can't have a divine union. I believe that anybody can have a divine union and a divine partnership, but it might not be at that level of service effectively, or that. There's also, there's twin souls, there's also twin rays as well, which don't see themselves as two halves of a soul. They see themselves as two rays that come in to complement each other. So there's different belief systems around that as well. But for us, I feel like we very much resonated with the term twin flame when we came into union, didn't we? And it felt aligned, and we definitely felt like we were twin souls, like we shared a soul, we shared a genetic blueprint, we know which lineage we come from. But as we've evolved, I think we both feel like we're whole souls in our individual, right?
Right.
As
That
we-
makes sense. Now, is there such thing as a soulmate? Is that something different?
I feel a soulmate is more of a romantic partnership where you've incarnated many times together, you're very familiar to each other, and you'll help each other to grow and evolve. But it's a different type of relationship. A divine partnership is all about becoming the highest and best version of yourself,
Okay.
and becoming the highest frequency that you can embody. It's not about just having an enjoyable love relationship. It's about, spiritual mastery. It's about, creation, building together. And a soulmate connection doesn't always fit into that. For me personally, this is just my personal opinion. It's not fact, but for me, I feel like true divine counterparts that come into union with a soul mission together, they're here for a purpose and a mission at this time of like ascension on earth. But that doesn't mean that, you can't have a divine union. I feel like we can all have a divine union. If you come into divine union within, you're going to attract that in your mate, your counterpart. And me personally, I do feel there's somebody for everybody.
Aye, me too.
I do feel that.
I do. Definitely.
Very
But,
interesting.
but we've been totally distracted by everything that goes on in this reality, this current reality. And when you look at it, there's so many distractions for the men and women to hate each other. And there's two different people. They're totally different kind of species and stuff. And we've been bombarded throughout the lineages for over time and time, and to like the patriarchal stuff and all of that. It's like the sisterhoods, the brotherhoods, and there's always been something that's put a wedge in the way where men are dominating as well. So that puts the wedge in between the women, and it's about breaking the programming and the ancestral lineages and breaking that ancestral programming through, like, we know that we've been programmed by certain individuals for us to stop us being in the Heros Gamos marriage and to stop us from coming into divine union, because divine union for me is that, like, when everybody comes into divine union, the frequency and vibration will be just so beautiful and so intense
Yeah.
that the darker energies in the planet won't be able to survive, and they're going to do everything in their power to stop that from happening. So it's all about working, or I even like to say journeying yourself. I don't like to say the word work because it's not like a job. I like to say like journeying through your own life and coming back to union with yourself. For me, that was one of the biggest factors. It was basically I had to make sure that I was ready and I was totally within myself, and I'd come back physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Everything, the whole package. Yeah, and you need to. If everybody does that, then you're going to find the match, and with the vibration, you're raising the vibration and frequency of your own channel yourself. Then your divine counterpart will react to that.
Yeah. I mean, as we move towards the ascension, it's heartening to see people doing the work to do that. And like you said, the energy that will come out of people just naturally being at a place where they can attract and have that divine union gives a lot of hope. I think it gives a lot of hope to those of us who are still walking around just wondering, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually have a question. You had so what modality and how do you do a lot of the things that you guys are doing now?
Yeah, so we don't actually use any modality. Everything that we do, we have mastered through our own spiritual journey and our own embodiment journey and all the initiations that we've journeyed through. We've done the whole life coach course that we did to come to Mexico the first time. We've actually done that another twice in the last year. That opportunity came up. We weren't expecting it, and we got the opportunity to do it again. So we done it not long after arriving here. And then we did it again January, yeah. So we're now master practitioners in whole life coaching, and what we do is we combine everything that we've learned on that course with our own form of quantum healing and activation and clearing to help people create their dream reality, because we're able to kind of track in the quantum field where the blocks are to what it is that they're trying to create or birth or achieve, and we work with them on a quantum level, but we also bring in the whole life coaching, which is all about emotional programming, belief systems, and nutritional
Health.
physical health. So it's everything combined, and I feel like that's what we've really learned through our own journey, is like you have to be working on all levels. You can't just be working on, a spiritual level or
Right.
emotional. It's got to be emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. It's working on every single level and every
Just the
single energy
whole
body.
pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purifying your energy. That's
To
like you're just
Right.
So I feel like that's really what we do, is like we've developed our quantum gifts and abilities to such an extent that we're really able to multidimensionally help do the clearing that people need in order to become a vibrational match for what it is that they want to step into in this reality, because it's all about, multidimensional clearing. You have to be working on a multidimensional level, a quantum level, in order to clear out the distortion that's in your field and that's in your multidimensional consciousness, and to become a more embodied version of yourself. It's all about soul retrieval, isn't it? It's like all of our soul aspects have to be retrieved so that we can become more embodied and powerful. So we combine, the whole life coach and everything we've learned on the course with the quantum mastery, I feel, and we do quantum life coaching. So all of our sessions, it's like a combination of that. But our gifts and abilities to be honest, came back online naturally. It's not something we had to do many courses for or modalities or anything like that. I think when you're a counterpart, when you come into union, you start to activate each other really powerfully. So like I activated Gary's light language, my light language had already activated, and then you start to activate each other's remembrance of your past lives and things like that as well. So we just work together to create and to we've learned a lot from doing sessions and doing courses with clients. That is really, really important for soul evolution. I would really recommend that to anybody that's wanting to develop their gifts, is to actually start doing sessions with people, doing courses, because it really it activates you, and it brings you'll have certain contracts with people that are going to bring in lessons and, the completion of karma and things like that as well. So I think the first couple of years, that's what we were really doing, wasn't it? But do we work with any other modalities? Gary does the Wolf non-surgical.
non-surgical,
body work.
which is a bodywork technique. It's using the elbow. So like if you've got scoliosis or any kind of ailments, any hip problems, or it can work anywhere on the body with it. and you go in and break up all the scar tissue, crystallization, calcification,
Mm-hmm.
and you totally break it up. It's not like a massage or anything, it's really deep tissue work, and it brings back all the blood flow back to the area and stuff. And I had amazing results with it before we came here. There was like people who'd fell out windows like 19 years ago, and I've done a few sessions on them, and they were like, "Wow, the back was totally amazing." It was the first time the pain had went away for years, and like it is an amazing bodywork technique. I've not been doing it much here in Mexico because well, we've no long moved here and stuff. But in Scotland, it was starting to pick up really well, and it's great for clearing the gut as well, and all these things. When you put it all together, it's like the nutraceuticals and stuff, and it's a life changing experience. When you're doing that with the physical, you're going deep tissue, you're doing the nutraceuticals, and it's just that like all of these things we've combined into what we do now, and just through our own healing through doing these things. So that is it's an amazing technique. So as like within
Yeah.
one session, you'll feel the difference. That's the thing. It's not like one session and you definitely feel the difference. And like we used to do a money back guarantee. If you didn't feel anything in the first session, you would get your money back. You didn't need to pay. So that's it. That's how confident that is about it works, because it's big. Everything's a calcification. Everything starts calcification or dehydration or scar
Mm-hmm.
tissue, and it just builds up. So when you break that up, it's gone forever.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I just recently learned a energy modality called integrated energy therapy, and it uses specific spots where you trigger and then you
Mhm.
release and then you bring in the the better, right? So you trigger for shame, you bring in pride, or however, um and what you're describing sounds like more physically intense for both the
Yeah,
practitioner and the recipient, but we carry so much in our tissues. We just carry
emotion.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the beautiful thing about the Wolf non-surgical is. It's very, very deep emotional. Like people
Hmm.
would be breaking down and stuff when they would have things, traumas coming up from like 20 years previous,
Hmm.
depending on what part of the body you're working on, like your shoulders and stuff, the weight of the world in your shoulders. And
Yep.
when you're working on the shoulders, it brings up a lot for people. It really is. It's issues in your tissues. That's what the Doctor Detox calls it. We've got issues
That's
in your
exactly what I was gonna say, because that's what they call it in IET
yeah,
also.
same
Yeah.
idea, issues in your tissues, and
Yeah.
the emotional becomes the physical. And for me, that's exactly what happened in my life. It was all emotional, became the physical, and then when I started to work on the physical and releasing the emotions with it as well, and once you start to get all that kind of knowledge and wisdom about these things, it makes the journey, the spiritual journey, like 100 times easier. So it
Hmm.
does when you start to realise that we're hanging on to all these emotions in our physical body. So when you're working on that, you're releasing the emotion. But it can get testing as well when you're releasing these emotions, depending where you're working on the body. So it is can get really testing for people, but it's beautiful to watch, to be honest. When you work on somebody and you have a release, an emotional release. It
Hmm.
was really good. And I was doing some spiritual stuff as well while I was doing it as well. So I could have combined that into that as well.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, you guys, you do your classes are remote, right? Like people can connect from anywhere. I mean, I did a session with you guys. It was wonderful. And I'm up here in New York and you're down there, and um so you do offer those all via the computer if people wanted
Yeah.
to take a
Yeah.
class. So it doesn't
All of
matter
our
where
Online
they're
and
located.
virtually.
All of our work is online, apart from obviously the physical therapy, but yeah, everything's online. And we do hope to, well, we don't hope, not let's say hope, we do hope to anchor in more here in Mexico and
Mhm.
begin to offer some in-person things here. That's kind of what we're planning for the future. But right now everything's online. So we do mentorship, I do divine feminine mentorship, Gary does divine masculine. I've got a course running at the moment, and womb healing is a big thing that we do together. That's something that we've been really called to do, so that you're bringing the masculine in to the womb healing, because a lot of womb healing is just all about the feminine, but in reality we need to be hierogamically balanced with our masculine and feminine energy. So we got the guidance to do divine union womb healing, hierogamic womb healing, to really prepare that power centre for people who are looking to step into a higher version of themselves. So we do that remotely as well. We do that distantly. We don't have to be in person. And yeah, so yeah, we're completely online.
Wow. Wow.
And people can get to you through indigoblue.com, correct?
Indigo Blue Star.
Yeah, we've
Blue
got a
Star, thank
website,
you.
Yeah.
Indigobluestar.com.
indigoblue.com, that she's actually, we're updating it at the moment, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we share a bit more about what it's like to live in Mexico, and it's a bit more about our daily life and stuff, isn't it, on TikTok?
Mhm.
So we're on all of those platforms as well.
Wow.
Wonderful, thank
Wow.
you.
Listening to this evolution of your story from then to now, and what your future is going to be when you are out there, because you will be out there doing more things. Not that you hope, but you will.
Yeah.
And it's just so wonderful to see what you're bringing to everybody, just to bring
And
that there's a
connecting
lot of
and help.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
one of the
connecting
main
and
things that we like to bring is to show people like exactly where we came from, what we went through, and where they can go, and everybody is capable of doing this, and that's one of my missions anyway. Is like to show people like you can come from death's door to full physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental amazement again. And it is possible for everybody, but it's all about doing the initial journey and the initial work, and really, really um, loving yourself unconditionally is like the most thing. I mean, that's like we think we love. I used to think I loved myself unconditionally, but I obviously didn't, because that's why I ended up in the state I ended up.
Hmm.
Because it was, I used to give all my love away to everybody else, and that's we try and like show people is just like you can get back to, and we want everybody to come on board. We want everybody to have the best beautiful life. We want everybody to have the hierogamic marriage, the union. That's our main aim. It's just to show people that you can do it and it is possible for everybody.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I
very
love
good.
that message. I love
Yeah,
that message.
because everybody can do it. It's
Yeah,
just exactly like you said, Gary, just being willing to do the work and go through it.
Yeah,
yeah,
you got to take the journey and you can't skip the steps, I think.
No.
I think for us as well, we had a big contract of ancestral clearing,
mhm.
which I'm sure a lot of people resonate with, being that ancestral curse breaker, and the
Hmm.
cycle breaker. Yeah. So we both, what we
Trust
realised
me, I know all about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
when we
It's
came to
not easy.
Mexico,
No, it's no easy.
we were actually able to clear, like, I think it was like 13 timelines or something like that, connected to like ancestral curses within our lineages in Scotland. So
Hmm.
obviously being able to leave that grid and come here, we were able to clear that. And then we went through the first few months of being here, we went through the deepest clearing of our lineages that we've ever actually experienced, and the release of ancestral entities, what I would call ancestral entities that have been are basically attached to you, because you are this ancestral curse breaker, and they attach to the lineage, and they look for the light. They're trying to get back to the light, and you have to be the one to release that
Hmm.
entity back to the light if that's part of your role. So the first 6 months of being here, we learned so much about the contracts that we actually had for ancestral clearing within the lineage, and the ancestral curse breaker contract, and coming here, just moving away from that grid, and actually kind of disconnecting from certain individuals and our families and things like that was a big part of actually being able to clear things on a much deeper level, and realising, okay, like this is why life's been the way it has, this is why I've experienced what I have, and this is my mission, this is my purpose, and it helps you to look at it from a different angle, I think, and
Mhm.
realise, why certain things have happened the way they have, but also maybe why people are behaving in a certain way and things like that as well. So we created our very own ancestral clearing kind of protocol resolution through that, didn't we? Through our own experience. So we do that as well, the ancestral clearing, and that's definitely something we want to teach around going
Mhm.
forward as well, is like how to
Yeah.
break the ancestral curse and what's involved in that, because there's a lot of quantum work involved in that as well. It's not just about doing things in the physical reality. There's a lot of quantum clearing that has to happen and quantum resolution. So that's definitely something I can see us doing more of in the future, because we've both had that path.
Mhm.
Certainly the ancestral curse breaker, the cycle breaker, and I know a lot of people will resonate with that as well.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
definitely.
would
And
absolutely be interested in that.
yeah, yeah. And this time frame that we're in right now too, is there's a lot of change and a lot of split, and yet a lot of knowledge of this whole ascension that's going to be going on. And to get there, you have to break those things. You have to work through them. And my thought is there has to be enough people to work through them that have done it, the work to help the others that don't know how or what they're doing, which is exactly what you two are doing in all of this, is helping people reach that potential, helping people get to where they can navigate this ascension with just the love and the joy that everyone is meant to have at baseline.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about realising that we're not here to suffer.
No.
We're here to enjoy
The
life, and have
remembering,
a
yes, the
beautiful life
remembering.
and a beautiful experience, and we've suffered enough.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So we want to create a new, for us, we want to, everything that we've learned and experienced in our journey, we want to be able to create a bridge, if you like, that, people that we are working with can actually access that frequency. And we did experience that. We did some work this year, didn't we? We had a Divine Union couple who are a bit further on in the journey than us, and had a bit more knowledge and experience. So we actually worked with them for a few months this year, and that's enabled us to learn a lot more about the dynamic of divine union, and the extent of the distortion that has to be cleared in order for you to really step into and embody that divine union frequency. But ultimately, that's what we want. We all want that heaven and earth. We all want that beautiful life of
Hmm.
joy and happiness and abundance, and it's our birthright at the end of the day.
Hmm.
You're right. Yeah,
It
yeah.
absolutely is,
For
yes.
for me, the ancestral stuff has been a big part of on the multidimensional level, because it was easy for me to move away from the ancestral stuff like family and friends and stuff, because I'd basically pushed a lot of people away anyway at that time when I was going through my mental health stuff, and I'd fallen out with a lot of family and stuff, so I was basically kind of on my own at that time. But after like just this year, like the ancestral on the multidimensional has
Hmm.
been a dramatic change in the energy and the frequency of myself, through it was easier doing it in the physical than it was in the multidimensional, but it's more beautiful in the multidimensional because you're going back so many timelines and you're releasing all of these family members and stuff and friends or whatever else that's been keeping us stuck as well
Hmm.
on the multidimensional. So that's been a big, massive part this year for me.
But
Yeah. Oh,
Very.
yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Mhm.
I trust me when I tell you,
Yeah, it's hard.
I know all about it. Yeah,
it's a
it's
big part of what
intense.
we
That's
do
intense.
as well, is really help people regain their sovereignty and their their full embodiment of their higher self. That's really what we're all about helping
Hmm.
people break free of like control systems and belief systems that are stopping them from being who they really came here to be,
Yep.
effectively.
And those are insidious things to catch because of the amount of programming that starts the day you take your first breath. you know, I mean, and it's not like blaming your parents for doing something one way when you wish they'd done it another way. It's the handing down from generations of these certain patterns.
And society,
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely society. But they've also, everybody in society has been handed down
of
patterns. And
course.
I think it becomes a matter of how many people have one pattern versus another, and the ones that have, there's more people under one pattern is kind of where you go. Like we've been in this patriarchal society for a long time, and it's starting to show cracks now, although it doesn't look like it because it's what you said about the darkness just goes right to the light, so you see it more. But those kinds of programmings are what really need to just be knocked out.
Mm,
And I'm
it's
not
coming.
talking politics, just the whole societal culture, I think. At
Yeah.
least in America, different countries have different societal cultures and structures, but I think there's a whole lot of what's going on in America in smaller amounts
Yeah.
everywhere,
But
unfortunately.
it's the same program, just in a different way in most of
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm,
places.
mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
the same script that's been used
Yeah.
in every country and every level. You can see it
Yeah, fear and
there.
oppression. Fear,
Yeah,
oppression, greed.
yeah,
Fear, oppression, greed.
totally, totally, and that's it. It's like when people are waking up to the fact of this now, and even people who weren't awake are starting to see the cracks because the vibrational frequency of the planet is like transforming, and through people like
Mm,
yourselves and ourselves, and people getting out there and doing the work, and that this is how we change it. It's like everybody works on themselves, and we raise our vibrational frequency, and these programs will just collapse.
Mm.
yeah,
Right, right. And yeah, I'm sorry, Ronnie, I
yeah.
interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say this has been an incredible chat with you guys. I
Um,
am so excited to see what comes in the near future, and especially if you're creating something, physical and down there in Mexico. Where did you say where you were
I was
located in Mexico?
So we're in Ixtapa in Zihuatanejo, which is on the Pacific
Pacific
coast.
Coast.
Pacific Coast,
Yeah,
yeah.
um,
Very cool.
it's a is it a
Fishing village.
town? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, a couple of 100,000 people stay here, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of tourists from Canada and America come.
Hmm.
Are very, very. They
Hmm.
come like for 6 months of the year. A lot of people in America.
Well, yeah, because it's so
For the
much warmer.
winter.
Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
nice. But
Snowbirds.
yeah, snowbirds, that's right. We learned that term. But
Mhm.
coming here for us, we thought, well, we thought we're coming here to create something, like maybe have retreats or a healing centre or something like that. And the way it's transpired is we've just been on the deepest healing and reclamation journey
The
ourselves.
next stage.
The next
That's
stage of
okay.
that
That's
Mhm.
that
that's what I was
journey.
saying is I'm excited to see what's next for you
Yeah.
Yeah.
guys because I'm excited. I am. I'm really excited to see what's next. All right. Do you have any parting words for our guest? What would you like to leave our guest with today?
Mm, Gary, you're good with parting words.
I
That spot
would,
right there. It's all for you, Gary.
yeah, well, I would just say don't don't give up. It doesn't matter where you're at this moment in time. The shining light will come for everybody, and it's all about working on one thing a day, or working on one thing for 10 days, and then adding something to it, and keep doing that. Whether it's the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, or the mental, just keep working, and it's it's not a it's not a race. It takes a long time to get to get into to get that programming, and it's going to take time to come out of the programming in this physical form. Your body is the temple that takes us about in this physical world. When you look after that, you can create magic. You can create magic. When you look after the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental will all fall into balance with it. And where I was at, I would be dead if I hadn't done these things. And and everybody can do it. Everybody can do it, and we can all help each other doing it. We can all, and then we can. The multidimensional for me was a big, massive part of that. Releasing the traumas, the emotions, and all the other things that come with it from the body was a bigger. That was the emotional release and the trauma release was the biggest part of my healing rather than the physical. The physical came easy after the emotional and the trauma from past lives, multidimensional lives, and from this life. So,
Wow.
I
Yeah.
think if we just keep going, it's a beautiful journey. Don't look at it as it's a tough journey. Look at it as it's a beautiful journey. It's a journey of reclamation of your soul, and we're here to change the world.
Oh my God. That's beautiful. A journey of reclamation. I love that. Um, well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on with
you
us.
for having us.
Yeah, we have completely enjoyed this, and I'm gonna speak to our people who are listening or watching right now. Um, don't hesitate to leave a comment if you have a question, if you wonder more about some of the stuff we talked about or anything else. Feel free to write it down. We check, we respond. If you have something specific for Diane and Gary, reach out to them on their website, or ask us to ask them a question for you because we know how to
Yeah,
find you too. And as always, if any of our viewers or listeners have something unique that they would like to share on here, if you want to share something, reach out because we love to bring people. We love to highlight what all the good works are that are going on in this world right now, and it helps people remember that there are a lot of good works going on.
Yeah.
And we've got to do that, guys. We have to combine our lights. So if you have something out there that you would like to see on the podcast, reach out. We'll probably have you on as a guest. How fun would that be?
Amazing.
Yes. And as always, I will leave us with this. Be blessed and be blessed. Know that you're loved and know that you're not alone. So with
Beautiful.
that, I think we're going to say goodbye and thank you again to Diane and Gary. Bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
guys, for being here. Thank you so
okay.
much. Have
Thank
an
you.
amazing rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.